Hello everyone, my name is Chris Clamp and welcome to my studio. I'm an artist who primarily focuses on oil painting, and in my channel I share information with you to empower you to be a better artist. I have also worked in and worked with the commercial art gallery world for decades, and I want to share information with you that I learned to help you grow your art business. So in my last video, I showed you the power of using Adobe Photoshop to edit your digital photo to make a better reference. We discussed some tips and tricks to adjust your raw image file to make it more accurate to your reference, and we discussed how to resize your image. I even showed you how you can use guidelines to help you copy and paste your image to help you print photos that are scale images of your future painting. If you haven't seen that video, it really is a must watch, and you can watch it by clicking the link up here, and the link is also in the description below. So, all of this is so helpful, and it is so helpful to be able to understand how to use digital editing software to help you control the quality of your reference image when using a photograph. Whether you're painting from a photograph or just using it to help you with composition or proportion, knowing how to use image tools will make your reference images even better. And that will make your paintings better too. So, one of the biggest tricks I showed you in my last video is how to use guides to make different areas on your photo from which you can copy and paste. The pasted image into a new document can then be printed on a standard home printer and physically taped together, so you may have a printed image to scale with your painting support. So how is this helpful? Well, with your image printed to scale, you can use this printed image to make a transfer to your painting surface. But probably the most important part of printing your image to scale of your painting surface is being able to see it as you have initially intended directly on your painting surface. There are many times that I go through the process of editing and preparing my image for the transfer only to see the image taped onto my canvas or panel when I realize that the scale is all wrong. Sometimes I do this and I can immediately see that my image is too large or too small for the painting. Sometimes there's just not enough negative space around my subject, and for me, negative space is very important. So it really is like they say, seeing is believing. Seeing the image on my surface can immediately tell me if the scale or composition is going to work. When I realize that the image is not going to work, I can easily make adjustments in my editing software without the time-consuming process of trying to correct my painting during the painting process. This is what happened at the end of my last video. I constructed my printed images into a scaled version of my painting, and I taped it to my surface. I felt that the image was fine, and I was excited to get to work. However, after I left the painting sitting on my easel for a few days while finishing another project, I realized that the scale was wrong. The scale of my subject was too large for my painting, and there was not enough negative space around it. The great news is that's an easy fix. With a new printed image, we can see if we like the work better. And the other great news, I'm going to show you how to do this so you will know how to do this yourself in the future. Before we jump in, you can see the images behind me printed. The one on the left is the one that we made in our last video, and the one on the right is the one that I have adjusted. And you may be able to tell which one feels better on the painting support. I'm going to show you how to do this so you'll know how to do it yourself in the future. And if you find this information helpful, don't forget to like the video and also to subscribe to the channel for more art-related information like this. Okay everyone, let's get to work. Okay everyone, so I have you set up here with me at my computer. In my previous video, I mentioned I would be making my transfer in this video. However, like I just said, I was not happy with the overall scale and composition. Therefore, we are here to make some adjustments at the computer. And to make these adjustments, I will be using Adobe Photoshop, but you may use whatever photo editing software that you prefer. Most software will allow you to do what I will be doing here today. To start, I will be opening my original source image. I like to keep all my raw files that I use for a painting or source reference image at least, and I'll eventually clean up my folder and delete any JPEGs and raw images that I do not use. So let me show you. Here is our folder that we were using, all of my JPEGs and the camera raw files from my camera, which are these CR2 files, are here. I haven't deleted or gotten rid of anything yet. One thing you'll notice is these two files have those blue dots. Remember my previous video, I showed you how you could use a tool within Mac OS to color code these things with a little mark so you could give yourself a reminder of something or kind of like tag it in a sense that way. So I did that with these so I could easily find these. These are the two files that I will be using for my two paintings. Another thing I want to show you is down here at the bottom of my folder are these two files called docs.xmp files. These are actual data files that Photoshop's Camera Raw creates that is actual data of information for this file. See, the file name is img_0008, same as this. So when I make any edits to this file in Camera Raw, it makes a data file and keeps it here. So when I open Camera Raw, it's still got the same edits applied because of that data file here. Now, if I wanted to start fresh, I just delete this file. Boom. And that's super helpful. But let's go ahead and open this. And as you probably remember, we had cropped it in to be square. We really didn't make any adjustments at the time. So that is why this is still 0. Now, I moved my camera image of my head while you're looking at it this way to the middle of the screen because I noticed in my last video that I was covering up some crucial information. So I'm hoping this will help. So down on the bottom right is our grid button in Camera Raw. That is something you should be aware of there, and then the open file will open this within Photoshop. It's kind of like our developer. We're doing our image processing in here. We open this. It's like developing the file, developing your photograph in the darkroom in a sense. So anyway, this is the image that we had in our last video. I'm really happy with it, except for the scale. So I'm just going to go ahead and open this. Okay, we are open, and we just need to resize it down to 16 inches square. Remember, that is our panel. One thing I didn't show you last time is we've got this little thing that looks like a chain link here. If we toggle that on and off, so you notice when we click it on, you get these lines that link these two together. And we click it again, they go away. What that does is it matches whatever thing you do here. It's like an aspect ratio thing. It matches it. So I want these to be square, so I'm clicking that so it matches. So now when I change 1 to 16, it changes both. Helpful. Just a way to cut corners. Let me zoom this in a little bit. Too far in. There. So our image, we want to be smaller. Remember, that was our main problem. So what I'm thinking we are going to do is reduce this to an image size of 14 inches square and add a little bit more negative space to it. So one thing that I'm going to show you here in Photoshop is there is another option under image size called canvas size. In our previous video, I said ignore it, it's not important. So canvas size is a little tricky to explain, but here both of them are under your image menu up top. So image size, the best way I can describe it is, for those of you out there that have seen a print, like an etching, a screen print, or even a poster, a lot of times there's an image and then a white margin around it. A lot of time that's like your paper size around your image. If you've been in an art gallery or a museum, you may have seen prints that are this way actually, and the label on the wall might actually say that. It might say image size, height by width, paper size, height by width, and they're different because there's the margin that's being accounted for. So in Photoshop, that is kind of what I like to compare this to. Image size is my image, and canvas size is kind of like my paper size in a way, or canvas. If we're printing the canvas, you could say. So we could easily use the canvas size feature to add a margin to it. So just to kind of give you an example, let's go up here. We're going to change this to 14 inches. We've already, remember I told you we're going to reduce our image. So I'm going to reduce it down to 14 inches square. And we're going to go up here to canvas size. And then see, now it says 14 inches. And this is our new size. Okay, our new size, we can make it whatever we want it to be. In our case, we want it to be 16 inches square. Now, there's this grid here, and that is our anchor size. So right now it's centered, but we could put it at the bottom, top, wherever. And what that's going to do is that's going to add the margin wherever we want it. So if we put it in the middle, it's going to add a 1-inch margin to all 4 sides. So 14 inches plus 1-inch margin on all sides gives us 16 inches square. We could also anchor it at the bottom. So what it's going to do is give us 1 inch on our left and right and 2 inches at the top if we wanted to weight it. So this is a little complicated, but anyway, I'll demonstrate it. And then at the bottom we can change the color of the canvas that's going to show, from white, black, gray, foreground, background. Foreground, background is over here on the menu. It's the 2 colors that you select on the left. You can kind of have that handy. Anyway, I'm just going to leave it white for this purposes, and I'm going to leave the anchor point in the middle. And there, you see it added an inch margin on each side. So that is helpful. However, that is also somewhat limiting because, as you can see, we could only kind of move it in certain pre-programmed increments. And sometimes we need to kind of give ourselves subtle adjustments as artists. So I'm going to show you a better way to do it. So hold on right there. Let's go back to Photoshop. Okay, here we are. We're back in Photoshop. Now, let's start over. We're going to do something different now. All right, so we're going to go up here, and again, we could use our edit tools and go and undo all this stuff to get back to the beginning. But let me show you, there's a tab right here, right there. That is our history tab. You click that, see it looks like an arrow pointing backwards. We can easily go back to the beginning or wherever we need. It keeps a little history of things. So I went back to the beginning. A little shortcut for you. Another shortcut I'll show you that's really fun is if you hold your space bar down in Photoshop, see my cursor changes to a hand. And you could then, while holding the space bar down, use your mouse and move your image around to kind of get it exactly where you want it, which is really helpful to me. We need to resize our image. It's what our image was originally, which was 24 inches square. When we opened it in Camera Raw, that's what it had it at. So we know that we're going to reduce this down to 14 inches square. So there, 14 inches square. Zoom it in a little bit for us. Again, spacebar, put it in the middle so it just looks better to us. Okay, now what I want to do is, this is a little bit easier for us. We're going to give ourselves a layer, and this is going to be like a background layer. So we're going to go up here and click File, New. We want it to be custom, and this is giving us a bunch of things that we want. We're not going to use the clipboard. We're going to make it our own. So we're going to have it 16 inches square, because that's what our panel is going to be. Remember, 16 inches. So we're going to go ahead and hit that 16 inches square. 300 is our resolution. That's very important because we're printing. We want it to be 300 resolution. And we're going to change the background here. I'm just going to change it to black. Okay, great. We got all that here. So we're going to open a new document that's 16 inches square, black, 300 resolution. Okay, there we go. I'm going to zoom it out just a little bit. Now, we have our original file that is 14 inches square now, and our new file, which is 16 inches, the background layer. So what we do is we're going to now select this and paste it onto this. So we need to go up top and click Select All. We only have one layer. Over here is our layer window. We only have one layer, so we know that is selected. Select All. See our little dancing marquee lines around it. Now we hit Edit, Copy. And we're going to go to our new file. See, these are tabs up top. And we're going to hit Edit, Paste. Boom. Now you can kind of see this black margin that's around it here, and our new image is pasted within it. Now, if we go up here to our toolbar on the top left, this is our Move tool right here. I'm going to click that, and with this layer selected here on the right, the one with the shell, we can move this around wherever we want. See, that's really helpful. I think I want it centered. And since I have snapping enabled, it's really helpful for me to snap it right where I want it in the center. Right there. Boom. That looks great. Now, to print from this, we have to be careful because we have two layers. See over here on the right, we have this layer and then our black layer. And we could easily remove one of those by clicking this eye that's on the left. There, so you can kind of see. But we want these to all be one layer. It's going to make our lives a lot easier. So we're happy with this. We're going to come down here under the Layer menu tab and click Flatten Image. And so you notice what happens over here in our Layers window. We only have one layer now. It's our image. Okay, so remember guidelines from our last video? We have snapping enabled. Go over here to this middle, which is 8. Drop it. Same from this side. Dropped it at 8. Perfect. And notice how our composition feels pretty good. The shell isn't weighted too much on the bottom, and it's not too centered smack dab in the middle of our composition. I feel pretty happy with this. So what we're going to do is select our rectangular marquee tool right here and click and drag it over that. See, we have that one quadrant that's just snapped together. So we're just going to go Edit, Copy, New File. It recognizes, change this to inches so you can see this easier. It recognizes our clipboard as 8 inches square, 300. Create. And now we can hit Edit and paste our new file on it. Now what you notice happens is we have two layers. So to print from that, what I find most helpful is just go ahead and do like we did in the previous version, is flatten it. There, we just have one layer now, and we can print that. Just to give you one last layer of confirmation, see 8 inches square, 300 resolution, and then we just File, Print. And remember from my last video, I said I like to give myself corner crop marks. Click that, and then click Print. Excellent. And now we just do the same for the next bit. I'm going to deselect this rectangular marquee tool, copy this, new file, custom, It's recognizing our clipboard again. Paste it. And then print it. And again, I like corner crop marks. It's much easier to cut from whenever we're cutting our document. There we go. And essentially, you just rinse and repeat that for the next two things. And then we tape it all together. So I hope this is helpful and not too complicated. This is just another way that we can give ourselves a reference image that makes it easy for us to see what our painting is going to be like on our panel or canvas before we actually get to work. And using these tools within Photoshop or whatever image software that you might be most comfortable with will really help you plan your compositions out and understand your artwork before you jump into the process and start painting. I hope you all liked this video and that you found this information helpful. I know some people might find this process a little unnecessary, but I find it so helpful to see what my image will look like on the canvas before I start painting. I'll understand how it's going to look on the wall and I'll feel more confident. If you've enjoyed this video, please click the like button. That will greatly help other artists like yourself find helpful information like this. Also, leave a comment if you've enjoyed this. I love hearing from you all. And if you have any questions at all, please leave that in the comment section as well. I'll do my best to answer them. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. I'm working hard to put together helpful information like this to empower you and to educate you to be better artists. And please share this information with your art friends. It's so exciting to see this community grow, and that's all thanks to you out there. And remember, when one of us grows, we all grow together. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you. Happy painting out there.